Oh, there they are. Jeez, they almost killed me.
Oh my god! No!
That is right! Welcome to the update 1.9, you lads and lassies. Right at that rate.
Boom, baby! That's how you complete a bridge. You have no idea what it's gonna cost as you walk up to it.
The police station is an amazing opportunity for anyone playing Last Day on Earth.
No para de que esté.
Telling me this is the reward? This is the prize?
Voy a eliminar ya de una vez.
Look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that! Boom, destroyed!
Last Day on Earth Survival, the game that's been touched by 60 million plus players from all over the world about surviving in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. Over the past 3 years, the game has changed, evolved, sometimes for the better and sometimes for the worst. It's something we all know, whether you as a player have been surviving for only a few weeks, or whether you as a player have been surviving since the very start. From someone who's been there since the beginning, and am making this video in honor of their 1-year anniversary of adminning on the official server, it's insightful to say the least, to take a look back and reflect on the game and how it came to be. So, how did the game get here? Why is it as big as it really is? Does Last Day on Earth as a game still work? And why does Last Day on Earth continue to work while other games of a similar type do not? Well, the answer is actually more complicated than you think. Let's start at the very beginning of Last Day on Earth in the year 2017. 2017 was the year in which ldoe was officially released to the public, on May 25th, 2017 for Android players, and June 12th, 2017 for iOS players. This was the year in which ldoe really looked to find its place in the world of games. As the year went on, the updates seemed to show more and more confidence in the game's success from the developers, which were reflected in the players' enjoyment. Although Last Day on Earth was only around for the second half of 2017, some still consider this year to be the greatest year in all of Last Day on Earth. Some significant updates from that time included Daily Beans and Water from Update 1.1, Update 1.4 including new items such as the tanning rack and campfire, the underground portion of Bunker Alpha in Update 1.5 and subsequent reduction in difficulty and objective in 1.5.5, and Update 1.6 the Northern Zone / New Resource Update. While that list only highlights some of the updates of that year, it should not be ignored that Last Day on Earth was releasing an update nearly every single week, with something new. Players were never getting bored of the same stuff, since there'd be even more things coming the following week. Sitting down with one of the oldest content creators covering Last Day on Earth, the topic of 2017 was discussed. Alright, so this one's going to be tricky if you have to refresh your memory. Can you talk a little bit about your experiences during this time? Does the legacy that most players hold this time to apply to that experience? And the legacy being, the Northern Zone update. People thought that this was a really, really good time for ldoe, kind of.
Yeah, I'd say that was probably like the best time for ldoe, just because like that entire time period was like weekly updates, substantial updates where we actually got permanent content like being added to the game every week instead of like the seasons that happen like once every like month to 2 months that just add in temporary stuff, because we haven't really gotten any permanent content since season 3, so that's cool. But yeah, back then was awesome just because there was always like new content coming. It was permanent. It was like obviously the huge like 1.6 update. I remember that because I was like so hyped that the chopper finally got like a usage. You got to be able to like go up north. But yeah, that was definitely the golden days, just being able to have like everything that was constantly coming out and like being able to look forward to. And like the one time there was like a multiple week wait for an update, it was like the massive update of like 1.6. I don't know. I remember it's like I was at college and I was like like taking a walk or something, go get some coffee, and then I saw that the update dropped, and I literally just started like sprinting back home.
I feel
So I
like,
don't know.
yeah, you already hit my third question somehow, which was what could LDOE take from 2017 and apply to today's version of Last Day on Earth?
Permanent content, please. And actually, like, I don't know, like they don't even have to do like weekly updates, but like when they do updates, add in stuff that sticks around. Like all this temporary stuff is like, I don't know. It could be better. Like they definitely have some cool stuff with the carnival and everything, but it's here for like 3 weeks, then it's gone. Like if they kept the carnival around as a permanent event that you could like go to and even just like, you know, play some mini games there and earn some prizes, like that'd be awesome. But for some reason they feel the need that they got to take everything out as soon as it's in. You know, like even what was season 7 again? I already
Season 7,
forgot.
the prison.
Oh yeah, even like the prison. Like they made such a cool concept. They developed an entire prison, this whole raid system that they could have easily kept in as like an actual feature. They could have easily kept the bikers camp and the crates over there. You easily could have continued getting patches and turning those in and getting crates, but they're like, nah.
Last Day on Earth was moving up in the world, to the very top of the gaming industry. It really did feel like the game would be the next Clash of Clans, or even the next Minecraft. At this time, player hype was crashing through the roof. When the Northern Zone update was released, servers ended up crashing from the influx of players wanting to enjoy the new update. Was 2017 an overall really good year / good start for Last Day on Earth? Why or why not?
Oh yeah, that was an absolutely incredible start. Just because like I was hitting on, like there was always updates. You were like literally, I remember like every week looking forward to the weekly update and being like, okay, what are we gonna get this week?
As Last Day on Earth headed into the new year with one of the best seasonal updates yet, the player base seemed ready and excited for what the next year would bring. So, what happened in 2018? If 2017 was the year where LDOE really looked to find their footing, 2018 was looking to be the year the technique was perfected. The very first update of the year was to be the long-awaited Raiders update, in which players would finally be able to raid each other's bases in-game. Everything seemed to be working perfectly, but then some problems started to reveal themselves. In February of that year, something happened. Something bad. The infamous update 1.7.2, otherwise known as the Loot Me incident. Thousands and thousands of players lost their accounts, being replaced by a user known as Loot Me. Months of progress were suddenly erased in an instant, and set the account losing scare into effect, which still lasts to this day. 2018 was the year in which there was an increase in lost accounts. Players seemed to lose their accounts on the daily, either due to game-side issues such as Loot Me, or player-side issues such as clear data or other game-breaking exploits. Following up on these missteps, the developers added more updates such as the first entry to Sector 7, weapon modifications, and more added to the game. Some of the most notable updates included the raiding update, Update 1.7, dogs being introduced to the game in Update 1.7.5, the first real form of multiplayer, Sector 7 in 1.8, and Update 1.9, the weapons modification updates. And throughout the middle half of 2018, a new variation of updates took the light, permanent zone content updates. Some of these included the farm 1.9.4, police department 1.9.6, Motel 1.9.9, and eventually the gas station 1.10.3, which were all added through the middle and second half of the year, becoming permanent locations in the game. The player base was certainly enjoying these updates. They weren't hitting anything extreme like crashing the servers from hype levels, but they were getting players to come back to the game. With all the fast additions to the game early on in that year, these updates managed to tie all of the far out content to what was obtainable. For example, the farm giving melee modifications, police department giving gun modifications, etc. Lastly, at the very end of the year, reaching into 2019, Last Day on Earth went on a barrage of seasonal holiday updates. Some of the most notable ones included Update 1.10.1, the Day of the Dead or Halloween update, Holiday Snowy Racetracks, Claus, Cramp, and Greg bosses, and in 2019, the Brazilian event. It's around this time when the very few cracks started to widen themselves, though, or at least it felt like it. Seasonal updates are good, there's just one problem. They're seasonal. After the update, they're gone. While they can sometimes come back in obscure ways, it's not the same. It's also the year in 2018 where players started to notice updates slowing down by a lot. They used to come weekly, at least, but we're now coming every few weeks to every month. Reflecting on the year of 2018, I'd like to introduce another very popular Last Day on Earth content creator come on and talk a little bit about Last Day on Earth in 2018.
Okay, question 1. Can you talk a little bit about the quote-unquote legacy of 2018 updates? What parts or updates do you think players from years from now are going to remember?
So if these updates were released in 2018, then I think these were the most major updates in Last Day on Earth survival ever. All the updates that you mentioned there, like that Sector 7.
Etc.
Yeah, rating update was like huge. The gas station now. I mean, the gas station isn't really that important, but like raiding and Sector 7, like, are really huge parts of Last Day on Earth, so I think they're a bit bigger than the northern location.
Do you think the year of 2018 was an overall success for Last Day on Earth? Why or why not?
I mean, overall, probably it was great. I mean, developers learned how not to push probably update too quickly so that people don't get like another loot me problem. They were able to fix it. Even though I do know that at that time, majority of the people stopped playing Last Day on Earth because there were not enough updates. But compared to what's happening with Last Day on Earth now, like, I think a lot of people can say with certainty that 2018 was a lot better than all the following years that follow the game after 2018.
Moving into 2019, it's when the Last Day on Earth updates seem to be a little more random, but overall still enhancing the game experience. For example, update 1.11.5 revamped the skill system and increased the maximum level a player could achieve to level 200. 2019 is also the year in which Last Day on Earth took huge steps to upgrade their place in media, allowing very specific streamers to host giveaways for tactical backpacks, which were otherwise uncraftable, but gave the ability to access all backpack slots in a player's inventory, something previously impossible even for modders. But also, in 2019, Last Day on Earth took steps to revamp their multiplayer scene for the very few that played. Sector 7 2019 updates included additions such as the Devourer and Miner, and overall made the game feel a lot more like single player with zone farming and chests. However, this would all change in August of that year. Some say this was ultimately for the better, and some say the worst. But everyone can agree this path was a little strange for Last Day on Earth. Starting in August of 2019, Last Day on Earth hopped aboard the train many other games were headed on, the seasonal update train. Besides the occasional multiplayer update, which were not included, seasonal updates became the normality in Last Day on Earth for updates. Each one of the seasons is very distinct, so gonna try and cover each of them briefly. Season 1, the season that started it all. Season 1 was far from perfect, but since it was known and had been teased in the game for a while as Season 1, I think we all kind of knew the normal release of traditional updates were no more. Seasonal updates had become the norm. This season brought the long-awaited Shipwreck, something players have been requesting for a long time, but in a different form, and was also the season with the most difficult tasks. But the part that most players remember about the season was the difficult challenge of getting 20 notes. For that, a player was granted access to a secret event, in which, well, the player base wasn't too happy about. Season 2 was the season with a story. Since people had issues with the 20 notes event from Last Day on Earth the previous season, Last Day on Earth made 20 notes a big part of the Season 2 story. A player would follow the quests and challenges of Barker and eventually face his betrayal. If successful in his defeat, they would be rewarded with Kevlar, the new strongest armor in the game. Season 3 has got to be one of the best and biggest updates Last Day on Earth has ever had. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. I genuinely think that Last Day on Earth had one of their best updates in Season 3. But why? Season 3 was advertised to be the biggest update in the game, with the long-awaited ATV coming to the game at last. Players were ready and eager to finally take on some new content, and the ATV would be the perfect vessel to do that. Season 3 also brought with it a bunch of new stuff. Here they are now. Coming off the heels of Season 3, Season 4 is easily the most controversial season in all of Last Day on Earth. But why was Season 4 the most controversial? The least valued part in the eyes of players from Season 3 to most people was the ranking system in the Fort Moss event. Many people called this event rigged. While there is no proof that it was or was not presetting their numbers, basing the entire next season around it was bound to end up in catastrophe. And in which it did. The part that most people remember about Season 5 is how much ground it covered. From the long-awaited zombie bear to backpack skins and a poster hunt, Season 5 had it. Overall, a very strong season, but it felt like a bunch of updates put together to form a season. Season 6 brought forth the settlements and 4 NPCs with quests. While it did bring sewers to the game at last, and in the way we all expected, which was traveling between zones really quickly, it's kinda disappointing how once the season ended, they were gone. I think most people would have preferred some sort of implementation of them to permanent content. Other than that, the NPC's quests were interesting, there were more bears, and dealing with raiders camps. Prison update was something all players had wanted to see added to the game. When it eventually came, it delivered, kinda. Players were able to go guns blazing or sneak their way in just like the real thing. But the lack of permanent content stifled the update, making it moderately less enjoyable than it should have been. To add to this, the reward for completing the prison was lackluster at best. Crates unlocked badges, which then unlocked pack rewards. But between the weeks of the season, the only notable difference was there were more packs to open. Players grew tired of clearing the prison over and over again, to little reward and no change of pace. Season 8 was to be the game's 3rd year anniversary update, bringing forth new games such as bull dodging and turkey grabbing. Many players seemed to enjoy the content of the new season, but one of the most enjoyable parts was an actual live in-game event, that being the concert. In-game, nice loud rock music at the fair existed, just like the real thing. Some players are saying seasonal updates are fun, they're something to do, but as time goes on, more and more players are starting to reconsider the seasons. Seasons are undoubtedly fun, no one's saying new stuff to do isn't fun. The part where seasons falter is their lack of permanent content. If we go back to all of the seasons, checking which ones left a permanent zone or location on the map, following the season there's only one, Season 3. Other seasons have some permanent content though, right? Well, kind of. They've got items such as Kevlar from Season 2 and crossbows from Season 8, but that's just it. They're merely items. Items and zones bring different kinds of entertainment, zones being the much better of the two. I want to bring this video one of the most philosophical Last Day on Earth YouTubers, JCF, to really get into the seasons and their ultimate purpose in the game. So, question 1, have seasonal updates improved Last Day on Earth updates as a whole, or have they been detrimental to the game's success?
That's a great question. So I definitely don't think they've been detrimental to the game's success. I think from a developer's point of view, I'm not a developer, but I think from their point of view, it is giving something that people are looking forward to. I mean, every time I look at like a Kefir video, they've got tons of people on there like, oh, I can't wait till the next season. Like, it's become part of their thing. They enjoy it. And, you know, I would say that personally, I don't like the seasons. And I think that the seasons have in some ways gotten worse as they've gone, mainly because it started out with what seemed to be like, hey, we're going to explain some things. We got the in a storyline sense, like we've got this outside of the wall, we got the specimen, then the military takes it away. And then in season 2, they just alluded to it in season 1. It was much bigger later on with Sector 7. But in season 2, they still did like experimental like specimen alpha, specimen beta, but they didn't connect. It didn't feel like they connected the two. And then after that, they just started to not, it felt like they weren't even trying to connect the seasons to each other. Like it just kind of was, you know, now we're going to have a Christmas themed season, and now we're going to have this season, which is typical of other games to have those seasons, but, and then they're not necessarily like a storyline. But with Last Day on Earth not having multiplayer, it does kind of create a feel of like, well, what is the point of these? And I think a lot of advanced players are kind of like, this is starting to feel a lot more like a State of Survival, or like one of those, the typical mobile game of today. And people like that. And that's what I've learned to like respect, is that that was not what I was hoping they were going to do with Last Day on Earth. I really didn't want them to do with that Last Day on Earth. I think the reason Last Day on Earth exploded so much is because it wasn't like that.
So I guess that kind of really leads into question 2 perfectly. It's, do you personally, or as gamers as a whole, see a future with seasonal updates? Why or why not?
So I think eventually, I don't know, actually. I think that with seasons, can they go to, season 30? Will it ever feel cheesy at some point to be like, hey, this is season 37 or this is season 131, Will we ever be like, or will it at that point be kind of, this is part of the game? And honestly, I don't know.
JCF does bring up a good point. Will season 50 and beyond start to feel cheesy? And just like he answered, I honestly don't know. All I can say to try and answer that now is the future of Last Day on Earth is unclear. Personally, I can't see Last Day on Earth going on and on with these seasonal updates. But then again, this may be just based on viewing the past 2 years of Last Day on Earth and their updates and how it was totally different. Whatever the case may be, their path won't be easy.
Last Day on Earth has found a system with these seasons. This may be Last Day on Earth forever, because I think but if I were to try to get in their head, I think what's happening is every time they come out with a new season, it creates, a lot of, oh, this and oh, that. And people want to know about it. And so the YouTubers are happy because people are coming to their channels for those seasons. The YouTubers might not be happy about the seasons, but they are happy about the views, and so they're going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, those bring in new people into the game, which Last Day on Earth has kind of had a revolving door of gamers. Google is promoting the game because it's such a big game. Google is promoting the game like crazy, and they're getting so many downloads every day that those YouTubers can subsist, even though those YouTubers are switching a lot of viewers. A lot of the people that have gotten bored of the game aren't watching their channels anymore. There's still so many new people. And the first part of Last Day on Earth is the thing that made all of us fall in love with Last Day on Earth. The first, 50 levels haven't changed. Yeah. It's still getting your workbenches, working through those things, the green zones, the for a new player, the AI player that comes and kills you, and you're like, what? And then the first time you go to Bunker Alpha and a Frenzy Giant one-shots you, and you're like, that part of the game is still mystical and beautiful. I think that's what they're doing. They're using seasons to keep things going, but they don't have to change anything about the first part of the game, and Google just keeps sending them new.
I've seen a lot of people, I think gradually as the seasons go on, grow more frustrated with Last Day on Earth due to the lack of permanent content, per se. I think out of all of the seasons, the only one that has long-lasting permanent content is Season 3, which was Bravo and Swamps.
Yes, so they obviously are adding some content like the ghillie suit and the Kevlar. They're adding a little bit here, a little bit there. But you're right. A lot of people are frustrated about the permanent content. But
How do you see the lifespan of Last Day on Earth playing out?
I think it's going to last forever. I don't think it will ever die. I think we've always thought, oh, this is going to kill it. And I've just seen so many things not kill it. And ultimately, the reason why I think it's never going to die is because Google, or if Google dies, then maybe it'll die. But basically, Google's algorithms, and you know this from YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen that video.
Google's algorithms are going to always promote what is successful. And the first part of Last Day on Earth is timeless. It's definitely, the graphics are getting pretty outdated. Now that I've been playing Frostborn, the graphics are, I just started a new free-to-play solo series for Last Day on Earth. I just recorded them this morning. And the graphics are just so basic, but who cares? I mean, we play pixel games now. It's timeless. And I think that until all 2.5 billion gamers of this world have played it, Google is going to keep promoting it, keep showing new people, and then people are going to download it and play those first 50 levels or whatever. I mean, get their motorcycle, and they're going to really engage in the game. And I'm 99% sure that Google tracks how much we're playing a game. And so when we get on and we download that game, we start playing, Google's going to just be like, wow, they're spending a lot of time. They really like this game. I'm going to keep promoting it to more people. So I think they'll keep doing that. They have a brilliant IP. And I think Google will keep promoting it until everyone has tried that, but it's going to be a revolving door. So that's what I mean. So the lifespan of Last Day on Earth, I would say, is 3. It depends on how active you are, but I would say between 3 to 6 months for a player. But that's long enough to where Google will continue to promote it to every gamer, every mobile gamer out there, and I don't think it will ever die. I think people are being born faster than Google will, then they're running out of people to play the game. So I don't think it'll ever die, but I don't think it'll ever become what those of us that were the original players of the game were wanting it, or knowing its potential, were wanting it to become.
So after all of that, I turn back to the questions from the start. Has Last Day on Earth fallen from where it once was? I do think Last Day on Earth has fallen from where it once was back in 2017 and 2018. But the real question is the game dead or even dying? Well, it's undoubtedly the lack of permanent content that does not help the game long term. The game is certainly far from dead. There are still dozens of players coming to the game each day. Last Day on Earth English chat is pretty much active 24/7. It's not something you see with a dead game. Whatever happens next in the following chapter for Last Day on Earth, I don't see the developers suddenly straying away from the season formula, but I also don't see the season formula lasting forever. It'll probably get old around 20, if not way before then. But ultimately, who really knows? Maybe it'll leave just as fast as it came. I'm cautiously optimistic about where the game is headed next, but all I can say is I'll be there for the ride. And that is the story of Last Day on Earth.